Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping into the world of ancient Hindu thought. You can seem pretty complex, right?
It definitely can seem that way from the outside.
Yeah, so we're going to try and unravel some really key ideas that shaped, well, a whole civilization. We're talking about the Varna System, the Ashramas or life stages, the Purusharthas, life's aims, Rinas, which are obligations, and of course, karma.
Foundational concepts, absolutely.
Our mission today is to cut through maybe some confusion, pull out the important insights, and see how these ideas, even though they're ancient, might offer a kind of blueprint for understanding ourselves and society. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's start with Varna. When you hear that word, I think for many people, something fixed, maybe rigid, comes to mind immediately.
That's very common, yeah. But the sources, especially the early ones, show something, well, more dynamic.
Okay, unpack that for us.
Well, what's fascinating is how the early Hindu scholars, the Shastrakars, looked at human life. They saw it influenced by four things. Decide your environment, where you live. Kala, the time period, history. Shrama, that's nurture, how you develop, your upbringing. And then Guna.
Guna. Okay, what is Guna?
Guna is your natural trait, your sort of psychobiological makeup. And the Varna system initially was directly tied to that. Guna, your personality type, your inherent aptitude.
So wait, if it's based on Guna, these natural traits, that means you weren't just born into a Varna role automatically.
Exactly. That's the key insight from these sources. You weren't necessarily born into it. You became identified with a Varna through your abilities, your actions, what you were actually good at.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the traditional Varnas then?
Traditionally, there are four. First, the Brahmin. These are the ones who pursue knowledge. Think scholars, teachers, priests. Wisdom is their focus.
Okay.
Second, Kshatriya. They're about exercising power, rulers, warriors, administrators, maintaining order, protection.
That makes sense.
Third, Vaishya. These folks are involved in commerce, land ownership, farmers, merchants, bankers, generating wealth, managing resources. And fourth, Shudra. These are the skilled laborers, artisans, service providers, people who grow things, make things, provide essential support.
So it's like a recognition of different necessary talents in society.
Precisely. The initial idea seems to be that society needs all these types, this whole spectrum of human capabilities working together, every role valued.
You mentioned Guna is the basis. Can you tell us a bit more about these natural traits?
Absolutely. So Hindu philosophy says that everything in existence, including us humans, has three inherent qualities, or gunas. They're always interacting.
Three of them.
Yep. First is sattva. That's harmony, goodness, wisdom, clarity, noble thoughts. Think light, pure.
Okay, sattva.
Then there's rajas. This is activity, passion, ambition, drive, even valor. It's the energy that makes things happen.
Right, the active principle.
And third is tamas. This is inertia, dullness, maybe coarseness, sometimes associated with heavy work without much imagination. Resistance, maybe.
Inertia. Okay. Sattva, rajas, tamas.
And these gunas influence us physically, mentally, spiritually. Our unique personalities come from the mix, the combination of these three within us. And often, the goal in life is seen as increasing sattva, becoming more harmonious and clear, and eventually maybe even transcending all three.
And how does karma? We hear about karma all the time. How does that fit in with the gunas?
Crucial link. Your current mix of gunas, who you are right now, is seen as shaped by your karma, both past and present. Your actions, your conduct, even your intentions.
So your actions influence your inherent qualities.
Yes. This is why some might say Varna is birth-based, but they clarify it's not about your family birth necessarily. It's about the guna you've developed through your actions over time, maybe even lifetimes.
Okay, that's a subtle but important distinction.
It really is. And the powerful part, the really hopeful part, is that humans are seen as having this unique ability to change their guna mix through present and future karma, through knowledge, awareness, intention, effort.
So you're not stuck.
Not at all. It implies real personal agency. You can actually work to change your own nature. Think about that. If your qualities can change through your actions, what does that mean for how you see yourself, your potential for growth?
That's a big idea. So we have Varna based on qualities and actions, at least initially. How did the ancient texts say this system actually started? You mentioned there are different theories.
Right. And the fact there isn't just one single story is interesting in itself. There are multiple perspectives.
Like what?
Well, there's the divine theory from the Rig Veda. It suggests Varna came from the sacrifice of a cosmic being, Purusha. Brahmins from the head, Kshatriyas from the arms, Vaishyas from the thighs, Shudras from the feet.
symbolically representing their functions.
Exactly. It's seen as symbolic of function and maybe hierarchy within the social body. Then there's the Triguna theory, especially in the Bhagavad Gita. It really emphasizes that Varna just arose naturally from the different mixes of gunas in people.
So an internal psychological origin.
Kind of, yeah. Then you have the karma theory in texts like the Mahabharata. This suggests Varna came about because of different professions, different kinds of work or karma. Some texts even say everyone started as Brahmins and then specialized. Others say everyone started as Shudras.
Wow, opposite starting points.
I know. And then there are more, well, modern or external theories, like Risley's transplantation theory suggesting Aryans brought a similar system with them when they migrated,
Okay.
and Keynes' composite theory, which suggests it was a mix of things, maybe Aryan versus Dasa, cultural differences, subjugation, and then groups specializing over time, eventually becoming more birth-based.
So lots of different angles on how it began. But across India, what were the main characteristics that defined Varna, regardless of the origin story?
Good question. Several key features seem consistent. First, universality and hierarchy. It existed pretty much everywhere in India, and it clearly divided society into these 4 layers. Generally, Brahmins were at the top, then Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras at the bottom. That hierarchy was pretty uniform.
Okay, clear layers.
Second, the Ikaja and Dwija divisions. This is interesting. The top 3 Varnas Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, were called Dwijas, meaning twice born.
Twice born.
Yeah. It refers to a spiritual rebirth through a ceremony called Upanayana, where boys got a sacred thread and formally started their education. Shudras were Ikajas, once born, meaning just natural birth, as they didn't traditionally have this ceremony.
I see.
What unlimited choice of occupation? Well, maybe traditional occupation is better. Each Varna had duties, but sources show flexibility. A Brahmin could do a Kshatriya's job if needed, or a Kshatriya a Vaishya's. So not absolutely rigid, at least sometimes.
Some adaptability then.
Yes. And also, hypergamy and hypogamy. There's historical evidence of marriage between Varnas. Hypergamy or anuloma was when a man from a higher Varna married a woman from a lower one. We see examples like kings marrying princesses from slightly lower Varnas.
Yep.
Hypogamy or pratyloma, a man marrying up, was apparently less common, but also happened.
Interesting. So intermarriage wasn't completely forbidden.
Doesn't seem like it, at least not always or everywhere. And this connects to the last point, open class character. This is maybe the most surprising part for many people today.
Okay.
The Varna system, at least in some periods or interpretations, allowed for social mobility. The word Varna itself comes from a root word vri, meaning choice. And there are famous stories like the Kshatriya king Vishvamitra becoming a great Brahmin sage through immense effort, or Vyasa, born of lower status, also becoming a revered Brahmin.
So people could actually change their Varna through their actions or merits.
The texts certainly suggest it was possible. Now, this idea of an open, flexible system, does that surprise you, given what we usually hear about caste? It really challenges some common assumptions.
It absolutely does. It paints a very different picture than the fixed birth-based system we often associate with the term caste later on. How did it become so rigid then? Was this flexibility more of an ideal than a widespread reality?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The sources suggest the ideal was flexibility based on guna and karma. But over centuries, social structures tend to solidify. Occupations became more hereditary, rules about marriage and interaction likely tightened. So yeah, what started perhaps more fluidly seems to have gradually morphed into a more rigid, birth-based system. Economic factors, political changes, social customs, they all probably played a role. Those examples of mobility might have become the exceptions rather than the rule.
Right, the gap between the philosophical ideal and the social reality on the ground. Okay, let's shift focus from the societal structure to the individual's journey through life. This brings us to the ashramas. What are these?
The ashramas are the stages of life. The word ashrama itself comes from srama, meaning to exert oneself. So an ashrama is a stage where you perform certain efforts, certain duties. It's often pictured as a ladder, maybe 4 steps, leading towards the ultimate goal of life, which is moksha or liberation.
The ladder. I like that image. So 4 steps, 4 stages. What are they?
First is Brahmacharya ashrama. This is student life. It usually started with that Upanayana ceremony we mentioned, the second birth. Traditionally, a boy would go live with a teacher, a guru, in a gurukula.
Like a boarding school almost.
Sort of, yeah, but focused on learning the Vedas, discipline, austerity, celibacy. This usually lasted until about age 25. And as noted before, Shudras traditionally weren't included in this formal Vedic study stage.
Okay, stage 1, Learning. What's next?
Grihastha ashrama, the householder life. After education, you'd get married, start a family, pursue wealth, artha, and desires, kama. But crucially, always within the bounds of dharma or righteousness.
Dharma again. It seems central.
It absolutely is. The householder stage is about contributing, actively supporting your family, paying debts to gods and ancestors through rituals, being hospitable, helping the needy. It's often seen as the cornerstone supporting the other ashramas.
Makes sense. Stage 3.
Vanaprastha ashrama, which is retired life. Once your children are grown, maybe you have grandchildren, you'd start to gradually withdraw from worldly affairs. You might hand over responsibilities, move to a quieter place, maybe a hermitage, or even the edge of a forest.
What's the focus then?
The focus shifts more towards spiritual practices, study, austerities, kind of preparing for the final stage, and detachment from material life.
Okay, a gradual withdrawal. And the final stage.
Sanyasa ashrama, renunciation or devotional life. This is the final phase, totally dedicated to seeking moksha, liberation. It involves complete detachment, controlling the senses, deep meditation, being indifferent to worldly pleasure or pain. Total spiritual focus.
Student, householder, retiree, renunciate. A full life mapped out.
Exactly. And when you put the Varna system, societal roles based on Guna, together with the Ashrama system life stages, you get what's called Varnashrama Dharma.
Varnashrama Dharma.
Yeah. It's presented as this organized, almost natural way for society and individuals to function, helping everyone, whatever their Varna or Ashrama, to progress spiritually. It suggests a common goal underlying all the diversity.
A very structured approach to life and society.
Mm-hmm.
So we have roles, Varna, and stages, Ashrama. But what are people actually striving for? What are the big goals or purposes guiding them? That sounds like the Purusharthas.
Precisely. Purushartha literally means object of human pursuit or purpose of human beings. They are the goals, the values that individuals strive for throughout the ashramas. There are 4 main ones.
4 goals. Okay, what's the first?
The first, and arguably the foundation for everything else, is Dharma. We've mentioned it already. It means truth, righteousness, duty, the right way of living. It's the principle that holds society together.
Why is it considered the foundation? Why is Dharma so important?
Well, think about it. Without a shared sense of ethics, duty, and right conduct, could society function? Dharma provides the code, the guidelines that regulate the other pursuits, like wealth and pleasure, keeping them in balance and preventing chaos. It brings harmony.
Okay, so Dharma first. What's the second Purushartha?
Second is Artha. This refers to material well-being, wealth, economic security, power, the means for worldly prosperity. It's not about greed, though.
Not greed.
No, it's about having enough to run a household, support your family, fulfill your duties, maybe perform charity. It's seen as necessary. You need a stable material base to pursue Dharma effectively, or even Kama.
Right. Hard to be righteous or enjoy life if you're starving. Okay,
Yeah.
Dharma, Artha, what's third?
Third is Kama. This is desire, pleasure, enjoyment of the senses. It includes sensuality and intimacy, yes, but also appreciation of art, music, beauty, love, kindness. It's about living a full, rich human life.
And this is seen as a legitimate goal.
Yes, definitely. But again, it must be pursued in line with Dharma. The ancient thinkers seem to believe that completely suppressing natural desires wasn't healthy and could even block spiritual growth. It's about balanced enjoyment.
Dharma, Artha, Kama. And the fourth, the ultimate one.
That's moksha, liberation or salvation, freedom from the cycle of birth and death, self-realization, understanding your true nature and connection to the divine or the supreme soul. It's the ultimate end goal.
And how do the first 3 relate to Moksha?
The idea is that pursuing Dharma, Artha, and Kama in a balanced, righteous way collectively called Trivarga, the group of 3 actually leads you towards moksha. Living a full ethical life prepares you for liberation.
A framework for a purposeful life.
Yeah.
Now, there was one more concept you mentioned at the start, Rinas. Obligations or debts. What are those?
Right, the Rinas. These are fundamental debts or obligations that traditionally every Hindu is born with, things you owe.
Owe to whom?
Primarily to 4 groups: gods, parents and ancestors, teachers and sages, and fellow human beings, especially guests.
Okay, how do you repay these debts?
Well, the Pitrurina, the debt to parents and ancestors, is traditionally discharged by having children yourself, raising them well, carrying on the family line, and honoring those who came before.
Makes sense.
The Rishi Rina, debt to teachers and sages, is repaid by studying, learning, respecting knowledge, and ideally passing it on.
Okay.
The Devarina, debt to the gods or divine forces, is fulfilled through rituals, prayers, studying sacred texts like the Vedas.
Right.
And the Manusharina, debt to other humans, is shown through hospitality, charity, kindness, treating guests well.
So these Rinas emphasize interconnectedness, responsibility to others.
Absolutely. They really weave you into the fabric of society and tradition. You're not just an isolated individual. You have responsibilities that connect you backward to ancestors, upward to the divine, outward to society, and forward to future generations. Especially during that householder stage, the Grihastha ashrama, fulfilling these Rinas, is a major focus.
It paints a picture of a very integrated life. Okay, we've touched on karma multiple times. It seems to underpin so much of this. Let's really focus on karma now.
Yes, absolutely central. The doctrine of karma is often called the ethical backbone of Indian social thought. The word comes from the Sanskrit root kra, which just means action, any action. Physical, mental, verbal.
Any action.
Any action. And the core idea is karmafal, the fruit or result of action. Every action generates a consequence. Simple cause and effect, really. As you sow, so shall you reap.
And our sources say good actions lead to punya, or merit, and bad actions to papa, demerit. And you can't escape these consequences.
That's the traditional understanding. There's no escaping it. Your present situation, your experiences, even your guna composition are seen as the direct result of your past actions, potentially from previous lives.
Which leads us straight into karma and rebirth, doesn't it?
Exactly. The soul, the jiva, is considered immortal. It doesn't die with the body. When the body perishes, the soul, carrying its load of accumulated karma, both punya and papa, moves on to inhabit another body. A continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. In each life, you experience the results of past karma, and you create new karma through your present actions, sowing the seeds for future experiences. You are, in a very real sense, the architect of your own destiny across lifetimes.
That is incredibly powerful. Such a strong emphasis on personal responsibility.
Oh.
What are the sort of core elements or rules of this karma doctrine?
Our sources highlight a few key principles. 1, definite results. Every action will have a result, good or bad. No action is wasted or ignored.
Okay.
2, indestructibility of karma. The results, the consequences, can't just be destroyed or wished away. They follow you until they ripen, until they manifest.
They stick with you.
Pretty much. 3, continuity. This cycle of action and result is seen as potentially infinite, driving the soul's journey through rebirths.
Wow.
And 4, supremacy of karma. Ultimately, you are the maker of your destiny. Your actions determine your future. No external force can completely negate the results of your own deeds.
It sounds like a system designed to really encourage ethical living. What's its practical importance then for individuals and society?
Hugely important from that perspective. First, it strongly inspires good actions and discourages harmful ones because you know there will be consequences. It also discourages just sitting back and doing nothing because inaction is also a choice with results.
Right.
Second, it promotes moral life by directly connecting your everyday behavior to broader religious and ethical outcomes, even future lives.
It's a strong motivator.
Definitely. Third, it preaches self-control. The idea emerges that ignorance or lack of wisdom leads to bad karma, while wisdom and awareness lead to good karma. So cultivating wisdom is key.
Makes sense.
And fourth, it inspires welfare works. It encourages selfless action, doing good deeds without attachment to the results, what's called being a karma yogi. Acting for the benefit of others is seen as a way to generate positive karma or even transcend karma.
A powerful ethical framework. But, like any big idea, it's probably faced criticism too.
Oh, absolutely. It's not without its critics. Some argue that a misunderstanding of karma can lead to fatalism. People might think, oh, this is just my karma, I can't change it, which minimizes the importance of present effort and could excuse inaction.
Right, seeing it as predetermined rather than shaped by current choices.
Exactly. And linked to that, some critics say it could be misused to justify social inequalities. Someone might say, well, their low status is just their bad karma, which ignores systemic issues and can discourage social change or helping others. It can potentially limit individual drive if misinterpreted.
So interpretation is key. The same idea can be seen as empowering personal responsibility or justifying inaction and inequality.
Precisely. It raises that important question. How do different interpretations of the same fundamental concept lead to such vastly different outcomes or criticisms in society? It depends on whether you emphasize the agency to change future karma or the results of past karma.
Wow. We have covered a lot of ground. That was a really deep dive. Okay, let's try to pull it all together. A quick recap to help everyone lock in these interconnected ideas.
Good idea. Let's recap. We started with Varna. Remember, originally described as a classification based on your inherent qualities, your gunas, or personality type. Ideally flexible, tied to abilities and actions, not just fixed by birth.
Right. The four types: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra.
Then the gunas themselves, sattva, harmony, rajas, activity, and tamas, inertia. These are the basic qualities influencing us, and crucially, they can be changed through effort.
Changed by.
Karma,
Yeah.
the universal law of action and consequence. Your actions shape your gunas, determine your future, drive the cycle of rebirth. Every action counts.
Okay. Varna, Gunas, Karma. Then the life journey.
The ashramas, the four stages: Brahmacharya, student; Grihastha, householder; Vanaprastha, retired; and Sanyasa, renunciate. Each stage has its own duties, guiding you towards the ultimate goal.
And when you combine Varna and Ashrama,
You get Varnashrama Dharma, the integrated system of social roles and life stages, meant to provide a structured path for everyone's spiritual progress.
got it. And the goals guiding this journey.
The Purusharthas, the four aims: Dharma, righteousness, the foundation; Artha, well-being; Kama, pleasure, desire, pursued harmoniously, leading ultimately to Moksha, liberation;
Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and finally, those obligations.
the Rinas, the debts we owe to parents, ancestors, teacher sages, the divine, and fellow humans guests. These remind us of our interconnectedness and responsibilities.
Perfect. It really shows that these aren't just separate concepts, but pieces of a larger holistic puzzle for understanding life, society, and spiritual growth.
Exactly, a comprehensive worldview.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Varna, Ashrama, Purushartha, Rina, and Karma, here's something for you, our listeners, to think about. Consider how these ancient ideas, concepts of self-mastery, through understanding your gunas, fulfilling your duties within society and life stages, and facing the unavoidable consequences of your karma. How might they offer fresh perspectives on living a meaningful, balanced life today in our own very different world? What parts of this ancient blueprint, if any, resonate most strongly with you, and why?
A great question to ponder.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparks some new thoughts, maybe even a new lens through which to view your own path. Until next time, keep digging deeper.